Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dependa Spillane, the podcast. Veronica. Veronica is loving my entertaining voice. I can see it.
Yes. I was just lip syncing to what you were saying.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Thank you all for all of your support throughout all of our journey of this podcast that we are giving to you. I think we're on episode 72. What?
Say what?
Yeah.
72 episodes?
72.
You and I have recorded 72 episodes of just nonsense.
Of nonsense. Of just mouth splurges. Who knows what's coming out.
Mouth splurges.
That's a quote. I gotta write that down.
I think the people enjoy it. I think the people have enjoyed mouth splurges. I think people have enjoyed 72 of our mouth splurges. Wow.
I mean, I hope so. They keep coming back, right?
I hope so. I can't see anybody right now.
Well, my brother...
I would hope so.
My brother told me, he was like, I'm catching up again on your podcast, so just so you know. And he's like, thanks for the shout out in August about helping with your internet. And I was like, of course. I'm like, any chance I get to shout you out. So there you go again, brother.
Thanks, brother. Thank you, brother. Yes, thank you.
Oh, by the way, I'm Jen. Here I am.
Oh, by the way, I'm Veronica, and here I am. And before we get anything else going, I want to give you guys information on how to email us at dependasplaining at email. No, that's not right. It's not email.com. I wonder if there is some sort of thing where you're like email.com. Just email me.
Email at email.com.
Sorry. Yeah. So let's try this again. Dependasplaining at gmail.com. Or you can leave us a nice little comment on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And also don't forget to subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts. Yeah. Give us 5 stars. Yeah. We don't want anything less than 5. Yeah. If you're planning on giving us 4, perhaps don't. And just give us a 5.
Perhaps think it again.
Yeah. You're already there. You already listened to us. You're like, I'm going to give him a 4. Why are you giving us a 4? Just give us a 5. And then you can email us at dependasplaining@gmail.com and tell us why you almost considered giving us a 4. And then be like, maybe Veronica needs to shut up more. And then I'd give you a 5. I'll be like, okay.
It's not going to happen.
And we'll see if it works.
It's not going to happen. Sorry, guys.
Now taking petitions to see if Veronica will shut up.
0 signatures.
Doesn't work. Yeah. 0 signatures. I refuse them all.
Yeah. We don't accept anything less than 5 stars.
Yes. And some lovely comments would be really nice. And don't forget to send us your stories, suggestions, anything on our email, and we'll give you a shout out.
We will.
On the podcast.
If you want it. If you don't want it, tell us. Because otherwise, we just get really excited and we just shout you out.
Yeah.
Comes out.
Email us and tell us. Be like, don't mention me on the podcast. Just that. That's the subject line. Don't mention me. And then in the subject, not subject, the actual email, be like, don't mention me. Be like, great. Be like, that's all you wanted to say.
Perfect. Don't mention me.
There's no story attached to it.
I'll read it. I'll read it on here. I'll be like, hey, so we got this awesome email. I'm so excited to share it with you. This listener, they emailed us and they said, hey, don't mention me. Thank you.
Don't mention me. Great. Thank you, listener. Make sure you give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, please.
No, but for reals, like, go on there and rate us.
Yes. We want that. We want your rates, subscribes, listens, everything. Find us on the Milso Muster app as well. Subscribe monthly, $4.99 a month, and you'll get us and other awesome podcasts and military resources. Perfect.
Yes. Make sure you listen to their podcast, Mike and Moscato.
Yes.
As well. I think they have their first episode out now, so go over and listen to them.
Yes, and if you're curious to know what they're all about, listen to the end of this episode because we've got their exclusive trailer that you can find on Spotify as well, but it's here.
Great. Can't wait. Okay, Jen, I'm just going to jump right into it because it's kind of a long story. So, if you need a break from it, let me know. Just raise your hand like this as I'm showing you on the screen and wave at me. And I'll probably just wave back before I react and realize that, oh, that means Jen needs a break. I might do it too because I had a cup of coffee and I just never know.
Okay, I'm so
Jen.
excited. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Today is my turn to tell you a murdery story, and today I'm going to tell you the story about the Kill Team.
What?
Have you heard? Have you heard of this?
No.
Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, it's very, very interesting. I remember the huge scandal when it first happened. So I was like, I want to dive in, and I dove in, and I could not get myself out of it, and it was like a week long of reading stuff and watching stuff. There's a documentary by the same name called The Kill Team, and a movie as well, which I started watching the movie, and I thought, well, how much real information can I get out of the movie, right? Because they changed the names and everything. So I was like, I'm just going to stick to the documentary and articles. So most of my information I got also from Wikipedia, Esquire, and an article on the Rolling Stones. The magazine, not the...
not the band? Oh, darn.
Rolling Stone magazine, sorry. Okay, so here we go. It's Afghanistan, June 2009. A group of individuals, members of the 3rd Platoon, Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, 1st Infantry Regiment, and 5th Brigade and 2nd Infantry Division, based out of Fort Lewis, which is Fort Lewis. It's Joint Base Lewis McChord now, which is in Tacoma. So Tacoma, Washington. And they're based at Fob Ramrod in Maywand. Maywand is a village in Afghanistan within the Maywand district of Kandahar province. It's located about 50 miles or so northwest of Kandahar. Among these young men, it's all men in this platoon. And by the way, I have a really hard time saying platoon. I usually end up saying platoon. I'm really sorry. I don't know how to control it.
It's okay. It reminds me of my son's video game that's called Splatoon that he loves to play. So.
Oh, Splatoon. Yeah. Platoon. Not platoon. Anyways, so it's all men, right? Okay, among these men, Specialist Adam Winfield, Private First Class Andrew Holmes, Specialist Jeremy Morlock, Private First Class Justin Stoner, and Staff Sergeant Calvin Gibbs. There's more people involved in this whole story, but these are the main people I will be talking about today. So in 2010, news broke that soldiers from a Washington-based Army brigade were being accused of murdering civilians in Afghanistan. They were posing with their corpses and taking like pictures and taking body parts as trophies. So let's go back some. This group, platoon, however you want to refer to it, like I mentioned before, they were deployed in Afghanistan. Morale is very low. During any deployment, right? Morale is not the greatest.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So they're in the desert, very little entertainment. They're also disappointed in the fact that they are not seeing like any action that they expected to see. And it's kind of just a boring situation for them. And these guys are, they're trained warriors that they aren't being used to their fully trained potential. Instead, they're like having to like dig wells and they help build schools. It's just not the type of deployment they were expecting, and certainly not what you see in like movies.
Yeah.
So they're bored. So like I said, they're trained in combat. They know how to use a weapon. They have weapons assigned to them. So, however, the use of these weapons is very limited as they are not to use them in an unnecessary manner. They really need the approval of a higher up in order to like engage or discharge a weapon.
Right.
But I'm sure like in a life-threatening situation, it's totally okay to use in self-defense. But like just to go off and be like, I'm just going to go shoot these cans on this post, that's not okay. Or like shoot, like I mentioned in the last episode, how the Marines are like shooting up in the air. That's a no-go. You don't do that.
No, definitely not.
So November 2009, they're out on a battalion push. So they're just like moving, and like 30 minutes into the push, the squad leader is hit by an IED and it severed his left leg. So this, of course, is cause for his evacuation, right? And the platoon will now need a new leader. They need a new leader. So these guys are kind of wary. They're like, okay, we've established a relationship with the staff sergeant and now he's gone. Like, what's going to happen? Who's the new guy coming in? They were kind of worried about it. But then enter Staff Sergeant Calvin Gibbs. I'll give you a little bit of background. Gibbs is a 25-year-old from Billings, Montana. He arrived soon after to fill the position of squad leader. And Gibbs struggled before joining the army. He was not a good student. He had barely acquired only 20 of the required credits to graduate high school. And then he later on earned his GED in an alternative school. And then he enlisted soon after. I think he had enlisted before he had even completed the GED program. But because I guess he was well on his way, they accepted him. So Sergeant Gibbs, he's known he's kind of sort of a rogue. So he seemed to work differently in order to keep himself and his platoon alive. And the guys knew that being under his leadership, chances were they would all make it out alive. And in one piece, Gibbs has a very, he just was not a rule follower in order to, I guess, survive. I don't know how else to put it. He just, he was a rogue. So Gibbs has very notable tattoos of skulls on his shins. And supposedly every single one of those tattoos represents a kill. So he's got quite a bit. He has quite a bit on both legs.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So that's why it gives these guys confidence. It's this guy's just storming through and, he has no mercy. And being under his watch will help us stay safe. That's how they feel. But soon after his arrival, word gets out about Gibbs and his questionable choices during deployment. One particular story claims that during a tour, Gibbs was crossing the street. He had his weapon on hand. He notices a car heading in his direction, and the car doesn't seem to have plans of stopping. So I think Gibbs was like, this guy's coming for me. This is from his account, by the way.
Okay.
And Gibbs, feeling threatened, he opens fire on the vehicle, killing its occupants. And inside was a family, a mom, dad, and a child. Yeah, so he could have moved out of the way.
Yeah.
He could have jumped out of the way, right?
Yeah.
He could have maybe they didn't see him. He could have waved them down, something. But they didn't question it. They just took his word for it. After all, they were in a hostile environment and, everything was seen as a threat. There were threats around every corner. So they didn't question it. They're like, okay, yeah, it seems legit. They were going to, mow him down. So he opened fire. So Gibbs also bragged about having the capability and knowledge to get away with murder. I guess.
Oh, great.
This was one of those instances where he bragged and he's like, I just opened fire on them and nobody questioned it. And it's fine. These guys that are trained in combat and they're taught to be warriors or killing machines, they want to come back with a kill. To them, they see somebody that came back with the kill as a hero. So they want to be seen as that. However, they don't know the trauma that happens when something like this occurs,
Right.
They don't know the burden that take with them. Some of them can go and open, like Sergeant Gibbs, open fire on an innocent person and not bat an eye. But then there's somebody who could have engaged in an actual combat and there's casualties and they live with that guilt for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
So they want to be regarded as heroes. So they see him and they look up to him. Also, the way they see the people of Afghanistan, they're all savages to them. No one is innocent, and they are always trying to kill the Americans. That's what they see. They have no sympathy for the people of Afghanistan.
That's so sad.
I know. And Gibbs tells many of the guys in the platoon about drop weapon. Now, drop weapon is a thing where if a soldier comes across a weapon or happens to find a weapon somewhere that doesn't seem to belong to anybody, they hang on to it in case you can plant it on a civilian to make them look not so innocent. So, and they also use discharge grenades and to plant on people to make them look not so innocent, and to say that they attacked first.
Right.
There's no way of disproving any of it. So like the excuses fly, because who's not to say that an Afghan civilian had access to weapons from the military, or like took it from the military, right? So there's no way to dispute it. How do you prove it? So it's very believable. So the guys are like fascinated with Sergeant Gibbs. I think they were just bored and wanted some action. I think it's like a form of Stockholm syndrome. This was their leader, right? So they had to follow his rules. He provided them with an adrenaline rush and the possibility of a kill and protection.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. But I'm no doctor, so don't listen to me. So the conversation of killing these Afghan civilians, Afghan civilians, it went on for weeks, like these conversations. They worked out scenarios where they could kill and make it look like they had attacked first. And soon the conversation actually turned into plans of actually going through with it. Some of the men were like super intrigued by the idea, and from the very start, and some were like a no-go. They were like, hell no, this is murder. Like, we're not going to do this. One of those guys was Specialist Adam Winfield. He didn't want any part of it. And Gibbs had willing participants. And then he started forming his kill team. So let's talk about Specialist Winfield. At the time, he was 22 years old, and he had reservations about this kill team. Gibbs was he was recruiting, and Winfield wanted no part of it.
That's good.
But this time, to him, it's all just talk. It's all just talk, and he's like, okay, well, they're bored, blah, blah, blah. But it actually happens. The first incident happened on the morning of January 15th in La Mohammed Calais, an isolated farming village. In order to provide perimeter security, the soldiers parked their strikers, which is a type of tank, I want to say. I should look that up. It's a vehicle. I think it's a tank. Anyways, they parked it on the outskirts of the settlement, and they set out on foot. They're always looking out for a threat, and they don't know if these villages are Taliban sympathizers. So everything's a threat to them. Plus, they're not going to be like walking around waiting. Like these people are not going to be walking around waiting to like kill Americans. They usually like stay hidden from the American troops, where it's an easier way to attack them.
Right.
So the officers of the platoon talked to the village elder. And then Private First Class Andrew Holmes, who's 19 at the time, and Specialist Jerry Morlock, 21 at the time, find themselves away from the rest of the platoon, kind of like on the far edge of the village. And they see it as a perfect chance to execute the previously discussed plan, and they begin to look for someone to kill. Yes, Jen. So they talk it over and discuss how it will go, and they will pretend the civilian had a grenade and throws it at him. They're like, hey, this is how it's gonna go. You saw the guy and he had a grenade in his hand, and then he like throws it at you, and then you like shoot him, and then we plant the grenade, and then it's a kill, right? So we'll be seen as heroes. So they spot a civilian in a nearby poppy field. there is no one with him. He's all by himself. So they go for it. And Morlock yells, "Grenade." Holmes fires his weapon at the civilian. Morlock sets off the grenade, and they both take cover behind a wall. Their victim, Jen, was a 15-year-old boy.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Oh. His name was Gul Muddin. I'm really sorry if I don't pronounce these correctly. Gul Muddin, 15 years old. Morlock would later on confess that he was not a threat and actually had a welcoming expression on his face. The boy had followed their orders when they told him to stop, and he did. He did as he was told. Not a threat at all, and they shot him just for fun. So, in a normal situation, when there's gunshots and a grenade going off, soldiers react. But in this case, they all run. They're like, "What's going on? Why is this happening? Someone's in trouble. Someone's in danger," and they all react. But in this case, none of the platoon reacted. Nobody, except for Winfield.
On board. Oh
exactly.
My God.
Yeah, exactly. Except Specialist Winfield. Winfield, he heard it over the radio. Morlock called it in. And he said, they had come under attack. Winfield knew right away that they had set this up.
Yeah.
He had heard the conversation of the planning, so he knew it was all staged. So the officers that had been previously speaking to the village elder, they come out to investigate, and they relay the guys tell them about the story and their lies basically about the kid having the grenade, and he's like, we engaged. One of the officers tells Morlock to make sure that he's dead. He's like, he was a threat. He could possibly still be alive just because of the way they shoot him. Make sure he's dead. So Morlock then shoots the boy 2 more times. Yeah. Then the village elder who had been talking to the officers, he comes out to identify the boy, and it turned out it was his son.
Oh no.
Yeah. It gets worse.
Oh God.
Sorry.
Oh God.
So they stripped him naked to check for any identifying tattoos. He's 15.
Yeah.
He's 15, by the way. And then they proceed to take pictures of him and with him.
They're all excited about, they're celebrating their first kill, basically being a part of their kill team. It's their first kill together.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's disgusting.
I know. And then Morlock and Holmes they take turns posing with the boy's body.
Oh.
And they grab him by the hair like they're holding up a deer carcass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went hunting.
Yeah, exactly. It was like they went hunting. This is my kill for the day. But it's a human. It's not an animal.
No.
Yeah. Then here comes Gibbs with a proud look on his face and seeing, what his proteges had done. So he proceeds to manhandle and disrespect the dead boy, and he moving his arms and his mouth as if he were a puppet. Yeah. He then produces a set of medic shears and cuts off one of the boy's pinky fingers. He gives it to Holmes later on as a trophy and a memento of his first kill.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's disgusting. His plan was for the flesh on the finger to decompose and fall off. And they were going to make a necklace out of these fingers. Fingers is the operative word here because it gets worse. So they were so excited to have the first kill. To them, it didn't matter how or why it happened. It was just I got a kill. It doesn't matter if it was an innocent. It doesn't matter if we set it up. We're going to be heroes. The boy is carried and strapped to the front of the striker. I'm not sure if there's a compartment for him or if he was just strapped to the front of this vehicle, but that's how they mention it. They head back to the fob, and sure as shit, they're met with high fives and are received as heroes with all the cheer and joy in the world. These guys, but they all know it was staged, and they just fucking roll out the red carpet for these guys, for these murderers. They all knew. So Winfield, he's like, this is not right. He's so confused as to why everyone seems to be okay with this. Like, he's like, am I the only one who sees how wrong this is? It's murder. It's murder. He's not okay with this. Like, it's just eating him up inside.
Yeah.
So then Winfield contacts his dad via Facebook. It's probably just like Facebook chat back then, because I don't think they had Messenger yet.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So he tells his dad, his dad's name is Christopher, what's happening. Winfield wants no part in it, and he wants it to stop. He wants to do something about it, but he knows that there is a large possibility that they can retaliate, right? Because he's like snitching on them, basically ratting them out.
Right.
And he knows that the majority of the platoon is loyal to Gibbs, and it would be his word against like 30 guys. So he feels trapped. It's a bad situation any way you looked at it. He's like, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He doesn't know what to do. And so he tells his dad this, and, tells his dad how he's feeling. So Winfield then decides, he's like, I can't go up my chain of command because it's not going to look good. Like, it's, these guys are killing civilians. They could easily kill me. So he decides to talk to the chaplain. That seems like a reasonable route.
Yeah.
Right?
He's discreet
Yeah.
and confidential. So
It is. Yeah, exactly. But then Gibbs and some of the other guys get wind of it, and Gibbs, he interferes. Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
he questions Winfield. Yeah. And he's like, you're not going to say anything, are you? Like, are you going to go tell him? And so now he really feels threatened. And later on in a statement with Army officials, Morlock states that once they suspected Winfield of whistleblowing, Gibbs considered taking Winfield out. And they had talked about like taking him to the gym and dropping a weight on his head.
Oh my
so
God.
It was just like, yeah, so it was just so matter of factly, they're like, yeah, this, if he plans on saying anything, we'll just take him out. Yeah, and he also claims in this statement, this is from Morlock, that they knew Gibbs wasn't joking. Like, when he said stuff like that, they knew he meant it. He was not one to bullshit.
No.
And one day, Winfield straight up asked Morlock if they are plotting against him, to which Morlock right out admits it. He says, yeah. So Winfield knows that him seeking help is betrayal in the eyes of his brothers in arms, right? They're like, he's turning on us. And he also knows that these guys would lay their lives down for each other. So they're there to protect each other. But as soon as you turn on them, they will turn on you as well.
Yeah.
So he's super conflicted. He's terrified. He's always looking over his shoulder. He still continues to talk with his dad about the situation and trying to figure out a way to get out of this horrible situation. He wants no part in these events. But Winfield knows that all of this goes up the chain of command, and the platoon will find out eventually. I mean, they have to, because they have to. It's about them. So
yeah.
how is he going to go about this? Yeah. So his dad is trying every which way to help him from home. His dad is making calls to try and help his son. He calls the Army helpline, no response. He even calls Bill Nelson, who was a senator from Florida, no response. So he gets a hold finally of a sergeant at Joint Base Lewis McChord. And he was like, meh, it's his word against the entire platoon. Yeah. So he's like, who's going to believe him? Yeah.
I mean,
call CID.
It's true. And that's so hard to see, because that's like that's why nobody ever wants to do anything, because that stigma with anything. And like, it's one guy against that entire platoon, who are they gonna really take? Yeah, that's so hard.
I know. Yeah, so he tells them to call CID. So he then spoke to another sergeant at Lewis McChord, who agreed that Winfield was in danger, but until he goes up the chain of command, there can't be anything done for him. He has to report the crime to his superiors before the Army can take any action. So, yeah, Yeah, it was like one of his superiors is Sergeant Gibbs, who is the one committing these crimes. So it's like he has to go to somebody else, but it will come back down to Gibbs finding out, and then that poor kid is in so much danger.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they already know that he was going to talk to somebody, so they're already on to him. So if anything came back to them, they know exactly who to blame for it. So that's terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't want to do anything to do with it. I mean, he's not participating in the plotting and the conversations. He's just a witness to all of this. So then because of that, Gibbs is harassing Winfield, and he's calling him like a pussy, and he should be down to kill because they're all just savages. And and this is how he's referring to the people out of Afghanistan. So he's just like, this is so horrible. So I can't even imagine how that young kid is feeling. So Winfield knows they're planning another kill. He knows. He's like, and he's just waiting for someone to help him. He's just sitting around waiting for someone to help him. He's like, my dad is trying everything he can back home. I hope someone comes in and just swoops us out of here and prevents any more deaths. And Gibbs seems to be like recruiting more guys to his kill team, and they all just want to go home with the kill. That's what they want. They're all agreeing to it. And sure enough, a second kill happens. On February 22nd, using thermal imagery, the soldiers discover Marak Aga. Again, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. He's curled up in a ball by the roadside. Gibbs and specialist Michael S. Wagnon shot him and placed an AK-47 next to the body to justify the killing. They keep part of his skull.
What?
Yeah. That's their trophy, is part of his skull. The army later said they believed that Marak Aga, that he was deaf and mentally disabled. And they also take pictures with him. Yeah. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Completely.
So Morlock actually claims that taking pictures of the dead are not uncommon during deployment, which I totally believe, because there's been a few scandals of American troops in the Middle East taking pictures with deceased. I've seen some of them. I remember seeing one of one girl standing on top of a body of a pyramid of bodies. So it's not an uncommon. I don't know what possesses people to do these kinds of things, which it's like, I understand that, some of these are legitimate kills. Let's just say that. That doesn't give them the right to disrespect their bodies. They're still human,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awful.
It's just gross. Yeah.
To put it out there, it's like, why can't you just...
Yeah. They're so proud.
Yeah. Don't be proud of that. It's not okay. And Winfield feels really let down by the army. He wanted to do good and help while on deployment. He wanted to make a change for the good in Afghanistan, but he soon realized that not all of his platoon felt the same way. He was not amongst good people. So he's at a crossroads. Should he do the right thing and risk his own life, or just keep shut and deal with it? His parents feel pretty much the same way, because they're so worried and they fear for his life. So they don't know if they should continue to find him help or advise him to keep his head down until the deployment is over. They're in the same boat as him. So sometime during the deployment, Morlock goes on R&R. While he's home, he struggles with adjusting to regular civilian life. He's clearly suffering from PTSD, but he pushes those feelings down. He wants to get back to the deployment. Like, I think he struggles while home with the fact that he killed an innocent person, but he doesn't know how to process it, pushes it down. But once he returns to deployment, Gibbs welcomes him with open arms and is eager to show him his trophies he has collected. May 2010, the deployment is almost over. Winfield is just trying to hold on and keep his head down. He knows that Gibbs has plans for another kill. It's like one more before he goes home, right? And with Winfield, again, he wants no part in it. So the morning of May 2nd, the platoon was on a routine patrol in a village called Quality. It's a few miles from base. So following their standard procedure, the unit's leaders enter a house to talk with a man who had previously been arrested for having an IED. So that's what they're there for, investigating, right? And so it leaves the rest of the platoon is like free to roam around the village, and they're looking for targets. And they don't have the officers around to supervise, so they're like, oh, this is our perfect chance. So outside the house, Morlock was showing Winfield how to he was like explaining to him how to use like how grenades explode, telling him to remain on the ground during the blast. Then the two soldiers moved off with Gibbs. They kind of just wander off with Gibbs. In a nearby compound, they pick out a man, and I believe the man there was like people with him. He was no threat to them. Gibbs then asked the men if that's the man they want to take out. Winfield is in a panic. He knows what's about to happen, and he sees no way out of it. He's like, Gibbs is setting us up for this, and there's no way out of it because it's just them. So they hash out a plan saying that the man attacked them. They saw a grenade, blah, blah, blah. They had to engage. They shot him. Winfield is terrified, and Morlock is trying to like talk him through it, keep him calm, and it's like, what is happening here? At this point, like, Winfield is considering shooting Morlock and Gibbs just so he wouldn't, have to kill an innocent man. But then how would he explain that? Like, how would he explain, I shot them because he was going to kill this one? He, like I said, he's damned either way. He'd probably have a clearer conscience if he killed Morlock and Gibbs, but there's no way to explain that. He'd be screwed. Even worse. So they go ahead as planned. They set off the grenade. Morlock and Winfield fire their guns a few times. Winfield claims to not have aimed directly at the man, just in like the general direction. So when the dust settles from the grenade blast, Gibbs is clearly pleased. He has a smile on his face. And he walks over to the dead man, and then he shoots the guy a few more times. He shoots him more. And then he instructs Morlock to plant the grenade on him. So it looks like he was the one that set it off. And they proceed to take pictures with this man as well. And this is tormenting.
That's horrible.
I know. This is tormenting Winfield. And he's just wondering how the hell he ended up in this situation. How did he end up doing something that he did not want to do in the first place? So Winfield, so they take the pictures, right? And in the documentary, they show the pictures, this particular picture, which please don't Google these images. It's, I told Jen, they're in my brain for the rest of my life, and I can't unsee what I saw. But in the picture, you see Morlock, Gibbs, and Winfield. Morlock and Gibbs look indifferent. Like, their faces are just like, we did this. Kind of proud of themselves. And Winfield has a small smirk on his face, but you could see it in his eyes. He is fucking terrified. It's just like that. To me, that picture spoke 1,000 words of that kid, that he did not want to do it. It was just, he looks terrified. But he still participated, He still did it.
He kind of got stuck, is what it sounds like. He was stuck, and he had no, it's like he just didn't have any way out.
Yeah.
Any way out.
Yeah. And so Winfield knows that Gibbs loves the thrill of the kill and would certainly enjoy killing Winfield if he had to. No hesitation. Again, none of this shit is questioned. They just take their words for it. None of it. Even though they had witnesses, civilian witnesses, saying, no, this is not how it happened. They don't believe them. It's awful. And Winfield in the documentary says that he will never forget the screams of one of the women that was with him. Like, he will never forget that. It's like, well, no, you killed an innocent man in front of his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, here's where the shit show starts, Jen. 3 days after the murder, Private First Class Justin Stoner walked into the company's Tactical Operations Center to register a complaint. Stoner was sick and tired of the soldiers using his unit to smoke hash. Yes, Jen, that's right. They were smoking the devil's lettuce. They were getting high, on deployment. I guess this wasn't uncommon for them. And in the movie, like,
wow.
as far as I watched in the movie, they do depict the scene, and they're like, the guy that's supposed to play the role of Sergeant Gibbs walks in, and he sees him, and they're like, oh shit, we got caught. And he's like, I'll get you some better, more quality hash than this shit. That's in the movie, so I don't know. I don't think Gibbs in real life cared for smoking too much. But anyways, they had access to it. The guys were smoking, and they were using Stoner's. That just hit me. His name is Stoner, and they were all getting stoned. Anyways, doesn't matter. They were all getting high in his unit. So yeah, they were getting high on deployment, Jen, in the army, on a military installation.
That sounds really safe. Like,
right.
Something, definitely what you should be doing on deployment for sure.
Good choices, everyone. So Stoner was over the smell of it. He's like, I can't, like, this shit is penetrating my walls and my clothes. Like, I can't take it. So he was sure that if someone walked into his quarters and smelled that he would be the one to get in trouble, right? Because it would be who's gonna believe him. So they're not gonna believe this young, private first class. So Stoner, he had asked the guys to take their smoking elsewhere, but they were like, no, we like it here. So, and then Stoner talked to a sergeant about the hash smoking, and during the conversation, he got emotional. I think everything spilled out. I think it was just like the stress of being on deployment, and he's young and he's seeing all this shit, and he's probably scared, and he starts spilling his guts. He told the sergeant about having executed a man by the roadside, which was the second murder that they had all done. And the sergeant didn't take his story seriously. He was just thinking that, like, Stoner was just upset about the incident and needed to, like, vent to someone, Mm-hmm. So he just was like, okay, whatever. I mean, at this point they still think that it was a justified kill. So right. The sergeant didn't even bother to report it to his chain of command. He reassured Stoner that the hash problem would be taken care of and his reporting would be kept confidential. That didn't happen.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, that didn't happen. The unit got word the very next day that Stoner had ratted them out. Yeah. So this sends everyone into a panic. Gibbs rounds up his kill gang to discuss the situation and how to fix it. Gibbs said, snitches get stitches. So May 6th, 2010, Gibbs and 6 of the other soldiers walk into Stoner's room, and right away Stoner's like, I know what's going to happen. They lock the door behind them. They proceed to beat up Stoner. Stoner, like I said, he knew what was going to happen from the moment they walked in, and he was just like, what am I going to do? I just have to let it happen. And the guys grabbed him by the throat, dragged him to the floor, and gave him a good beat down. But they were very careful not to strike his face so they wouldn't leave any visible injuries or bruises, so there would be no questioning.
Wow.
Yes. So Gibbs and Morlock then talk to Stoner and threaten to kill him if he rats them out again. Gibbs explained how easy it would be to kill him the next time they went out on patrol, and then they would hide, he's saying, by hiding his body in a HESCO barrier. So I had to look this up. A HESCO barrier is used as a temporary structure for floods or like beaches for erosion control. And the military uses them as like a levee or a blast wall. So they're like collapsible they look like they're made of chicken wire. They're like wire ones, and they're collapsible, kind of like picture like those IKEA boxes, the cube boxes, how they fold down on themselves. They're like that, but like really, really big. And the inside is like fabric, and it's filled with dirt. So it's like really easy to set up and really easy to tear down. And they stay up for a really long time, as long as they need them, I guess. So he threatens the Stoner and says, I'm going to put you in one of those. Like, if you rat us out, and no one will ever find you until that shit comes down. And then it's going to be like, well, who did it? How long has it been here? Who knows?
Wow.
So then, to drive his point, Gibbs pulls out a small bundle of cloth from like his pocket, and he like unfolds it on the floor, and he tossed 2 fingers on the floor. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. 2 fingers to drive his point to Stoner, this poor kid. And the Morlock told Stoner to keep shut unless he wants to end up like that guy. Talking about the fingers. Oh, okay.
Wow.
How you doing, Jen?
I'm doing okay. I'm just in shock. It's like a total abuse of power.
Right?
And it's so sad.
Yes. Yes. You give people power. The people with power. You give people power hoping that they do something good and positive with it. And yet, most people will turn around and take that power only to benefit themselves and nobody else. And in this case, it was like they want to be regarded as heroes no matter what cost because they have kills. It's like, you still killed somebody. You still have to live with that. So, Stoner is 100% sure that Morlock and Gibbs will follow through with their promise. So the following day, Stoner was getting examined by a medic. I'm not sure how he ended up in the medic tent. I don't know. I think maybe when he went to speak to the sergeant about the whole hash thing, no, that can't be. I don't know. He ended up in the medic tent. I'm not sure how. I couldn't find why. Either way, they notice the evidence from the beating that from the day before. They see that he has bruises. So Stoner was then sent to talk to Army investigators. In the course of talking about the assault, Stoner described how Gibbs had thrown the severed fingers on the floor. So again, he probably got emotional and started just spilling his guts again. The investigators pressed him about how Gibbs came by the fingers, and Stoner told them it was because the platoon had killed a lot of innocent people. And then Stoner, as instructed by the investigator, he began to recount, like, bit by bit the whole story, and he started dropping names, places, and times of all of this. So the members of the platoon find out because one of the medics, I guess, was Jen's face, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
One of the medics was good friends with in one of the articles they described her as being popular with the platoon.
Oh, great.
I don't know what that means. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. But they knew her, and so she calls and tells them, hey, Stoner was just over here, and he was very hush-hush with some higher-ups. Like,
great.
What's happening?
Great.
So they know that's why he's there. So, and the members, they soon get called in for questioning themselves. Many of them confirm Stoner's accounts, and they give detail about the shootings. Morlock is very relaxed when talking about this, and he's so undisturbed by everything. He describes the kills in detail, like he was giving you directions to the closest in and out. So matter-of-factly, like nothing, like no feeling attached to it. And this was all on video, by the way. He was just very detached from it all. It was like it was his job, almost. It wasn't his job, by the way. So Army investigators started looking for evidence right away, and they're starting where Morlock claimed Gibbs had kept his war trophies. Morlock said that it was at the bottom of a plastic water bottle on top of a HESCO barrier near Gibbs's housing unit. Sure enough, they go, and there was 2 fingers wrapped in cloth. So they compared the prints of these fingers to the database the company kept. So I guess when they have kills, they take the fingerprints just for record.
Yeah.
The fingers didn't match any of the prints, which meant that the data was either screwed up or the fingers in the cloth were from some other kill, not in the database. So perhaps another kill committed by Gibbs without having been reported.
Maybe on his own or something.
So, exactly.
Yikes.
Exactly.
Wow.
So the floodgates have been opened, and these guys start getting arrested. We're coming to an end, Jen. We're coming to an end. It's all over the media. This is a crazy story. I mean, you have those that are trained to protect our country and are killing innocent people in other countries. It's disgusting. So Winfield's parents get word of this and they are relieved. They're like, yes, our son is safe. He's still alive. This is over. He gets to come home. Right? But then they realized, I don't think they knew what had happened, like what he had participated in. But then they realized that their son, they might need a lawyer for him. So don't forget, like his dad has been trying to help and was kind of blown off. So he's like, I'm going to get a lawyer because my son tried to help. But the army reassures him that Specialist Winfield was just a witness and he is very instrumental in the case against Gibbs. Lies.
I don't believe that. I was just going to say, I don't feel like that's true at all. I don't think they did that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you are correct, Jen, because then the commander of the base contacts Winfield's parents and informs them that their son has been arrested and he's being charged with murder. Yes. Winfield is so scared. He's so scared and he's so confused and he's like contemplating suicide because he's like, my life is over. What have I done? I can't live with this. And he starts looking for like a notepad to write his suicide letter. And he comes across a Bible and luckily he's able to find the comfort he needs to face this in the Bible. So he scratches the suicide. Winfield at this point, now that he's being court-martialed, and which means he'll be charged, judged, and sentenced all by the same people. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Like,
there's no jury of his peers. And he, like the others, will have to plead his case and hope for the best. So, I'm going to go and tell you, because it's all over. All these guys have been arrested. So now I'm going to tell you what they were charged with. Some of these people I have not mentioned. Some of these I have. There's a lot more that are part of this, but these ones were the most instrumental. Staff Sergeant David Bram was not mentioned, but he did participate with Gibbs. So he's actually from my neck of the woods in Vacaville, California. So he was charged with conspiracy to commit assault and battery, unlawfully striking another soldier, violating a lawful order, dereliction of duty, cruelty and maltreatment, and endeavoring to impede an investigation. In May 2011, additional charges were filed against Bram, including solicitation to commit premeditated murder, aggravated assault on Afghan civilians, planting evidence, and unlawfully discussing murder scenarios with subordinates. So, and then Specialist Michael Wagnon, who I briefly mentioned in part of the story, in 2011, Wagnon faced the following charges: possessing a human skull fragment, conspiracy to harm Afghans, premeditated murder, assaulting non-combatants, trying to destroy evidence after pre-trial hearings. An Army investigation officer twice recommended that prosecutors drop the charges, and in February 2011, Lewis McCord, senior commander, Major General Lloyd Miles dismissed them, ending the Army's prosecution.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Private First Class Andrew Holmes, who was involved in that first murder. Andrew Holmes' attorney argued they were constrained in defending him by the Army's decision to conceal photos of the man he had allegedly shot in January. The National Institute of Military Justice argued that the gruesome corpse photos should be made public, which they were. Holmes has also said Morlock threatened his life if he told anyone that the killings of Galmudin, the 15-year-old boy, was staged and unnecessary. A doctor testified at Holmes's trial that there were no machine gun wounds on the victim. That prosecutors said was shot by Holmes' machine gun. Another soldier testified that the body was riddled with wounds and that it appeared to him that it was Holmes's weapon that killed Mudin. So they're arguing whether or not he was the one that shot up the boy. So in September 2011, Holmes pleaded guilty to murder without premeditation and was sentenced to 7 years in prison. He was released from prison on October 25th, 2015.
Wow.
Specialists Jeremy N. Morlock. Jeremy Morlock, 22-year-old Army specialist from Wasilla, Alaska, was sentenced to 22 years in prison, reduction to the lowest enlisted grade, and dishonorably discharged by a military tribunal. Morlock pleaded guilty to 3 counts of premeditated murder, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and illegal drug use. He will become eligible for parole after serving 7 years in federal prison. He has agreed to testify against the other soldiers allegedly involved. During his hearing, he was asked by Judge Lieutenant Colonel Quasi Hawks, were you going to shoot at civilians to scare them and it got out of hand, end quote. Morlock replied, quote, the plan was to kill people, sir, end quote.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were like, was it an accident? And he's like, nope. Morlock challenged his guilty plea, but the Army Court of Criminal Appeals affirmed the conviction and sentence. Morlock's mother accused the U.S. government of scapegoating him. I think the government, I think the government is just playing these guys as scapegoats. The leaders dropped the ball. Who was watching over all of this? End quote. I agree. I totally agree with her. I think these guys were just pawns in these game, as all of the troops everywhere are. They're just pawns in the game. However, Gibbs, being so out of control, he was using these guys as this, where were the superiors?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he was the superior, so they counted on him. So Private First Class Justin Stoner, who's our whistleblower, Private First Class Stoner was a soldier who caused the investigation to begin. Stoner was not charged and was honorably discharged in 2012. But he did enlist in the Army Reserves 8 months later. And then Specialist Adam Winfield, on August 5th, 2011, Winfield, charged with premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder, pleaded guilty under a plea deal to involuntary manslaughter and use of illegal controlled substance. The involuntary manslaughter charge stems from Winfield's failure to intervene and prevent the other soldiers from carrying out the attack against the Afghan in U.S. custody. Under the plea deal, he did not admit to the killing of Mullah Adadad, which was the third murder. He claimed that that he fired his automatic weapon away from Adadad. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. Adadad, but that he did nothing to stop the murder. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and he was released from prison in August 2012. So that's what they had claimed, that he should have been able to stop it, but he didn't.
Please.
But it's like, come on.
You could have seen that he was trying to do something before all this got to that point. They could have done something too. They saw that he was trying. Yeah. His dad was trying. He was trying to do anything, but had he gone to all those, higher ups and up the chain of command, he would have gotten himself killed. Like, if he tried to intervene at that point when they killed that last guy, he would have gotten killed.
They would have shot him dead too.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So they don't see that.
Like, use your brain in this fact. He's already been threatened multiple times, and so why would he would rather save his life too, so that this just makes me so angry.
I know that it's like, on paper I understand this is what should have been done. This is what they did. This is what happened from the results. On paper it makes sense, but they don't take into account human interaction and human reaction. So yeah, it was just, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there was no one there to help him, and he couldn't even help anybody there. Like,
there's nothing for him to do. He could not stop it. He could not interfere, he would have died right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
super frustrating. Again, it's the abuse of power and bullying. It's straight
Abusive
up
power, yeah.
bullying right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's true.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, Staff Sergeant Calvin Gibbs. This is the kill team ringleader. Again, he's from Billings, Montana, which is a very pretty place, by the way. He was the highest ranking soldier in the case. He was charged with conspiracy and 3 counts of premeditated murder for plotting to kill 3 Afghan civilians and then murdering them. Gibbs was convicted by a military jury on 15 counts, including the premeditated murder of Muddin Agha and Adadad, as well as illegally cutting off pieces of their corpses and planting weapons to make the men appear to be Taliban fighters. In November 2011, Gibbs was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 10 years, minus the 547 days of pretrial confinement. He expressed regret for human trophy collecting, but not for the killings in which he participated, claiming they were all justified. So he maintains his justified kills. I know.
Sick person.
Disgusting. So sick. So, in all, 11 soldiers were convicted in the kill team trials. This was so sad. I saw the documentary follows Winfield because he was instrumental to all of this, as well as Stoner, but mostly Winfield is the one that's followed. And it's so sad. His parents, during the trial, he's putting on his dress blues, and the mom goes, "I've never seen you in your dress blues," and they like take pictures with him because he looks so handsome in his dress blues, and they're taking pictures of him. I was like, it's not the time. It should not have been like that. It should not have been them taking pictures of their son like that going to trial. It should have been in happier moments, but nonetheless, he still smiles and for the pictures, and I think he's just happy to have the support of his family. But yeah, Morlock, I think, just got caught up in all of it. He's just in the interview, he's just like telling you a story. He doesn't seem remorseful, like at all. That's what I got. He's just like, yeah, this is what we did. This is how it happened. This is what this person did. And I was like, what is God like? He's speaking as if he were a free man recounting these stories, but he's not. He's in prison, not remorseful at all.
That's so sad. Ugh.
And yeah, so Winfield claims that it's the worst thing that's ever happened and that he's ever done, and he knows he has blood on his hands despite the way it happened. Either way, like, he's like, even if his weapon was the one that killed the civilian in the third murder, or not, he still has blood on his hands because he didn't prevent it. We all know the situation and why he wasn't able to, but he's still like has PTSD. He lives with a lot of guilt.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Stoner, he doesn't want to be a whistleblower. He says that if he could go back, he would take it all back and he wouldn't have said anything because now he lives with the stigma of him ratting out people. And, he enlisted in the Army Reserves afterwards, so it's like everybody knows him. They're like, oh, we know you ratted your team out. It's like, well, yes, but for the right reasons. Like, yeah, we stopped people from getting murdered. But it's like, this is one platoon. Platoon? This is one platoon. How many more are out there that are doing this? So, that's the story of the kill team.
Holy cow, that was insane.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember seeing some things when that was all happening, but not paying that close of attention to it and everything. But man, just like, God, I see those articles pop up all the time when I'm trying to look for story or anything. Those are like the big time ones that come up with the people that have killed in Afghanistan pretty much like illegally and or got in trouble for it. And so wow,
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a crazy, and there's so much to it. There's so much more. But I was like, I've been doing this for a few days now, like reading and typing all of this out. I was like, I'm up to 10 pages of just typing. I was like, I'm just going to put in what I find the most interesting, most important details, and then go from there. But there's so much to it. And the whole thing is just so disturbing.
It is. That's so sad. That's so sad because then, especially those that actually have feelings still and everything, they carry that around with them for the rest of their lives. Like, you will never, you'll never be the same person ever again. And they were so young. That's what makes me so sad, is so young and so impressionable. And they're just starting out their army career, and then it's like total corruption, and it's terrible.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like, they at the beginning of the story, I was like, they were bored from being on deployment. Morale is low. They just want some action. They want some excitement. And Gibbs was there to provide them with this adrenaline rush, and it should not have been in that way. Like, it should not have been by killing someone,
Exactly.
But he was there for that, and he's like, you're going to be regarded as heroes. People are going to see you as like, you saved lives by killing these savages, and it's like, no one's going to question it. No one's going to know. No one has to know how you did it as long as you did it.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Sorry.
That was that's a lot. And wow. I have no words, so shocked. I like my face the whole time was just like, what is going on here?
Please don't look up these images, Jen. I just don't.
Curious minds, of course. I know I shouldn't. Don't do it. No one do it. You don't want to do it. Don't do it. Don't put yourself through that. I'm sorry, Veronica, that you had to see all that.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. I'm sorry too. And I was just reading about it. I can't even imagine the people that are actually there and get to witness it firsthand or have to experience it. It's fucked up. All the way around. It was fucked up.
Yep.
Any way you look at it.
Completely.
War is dirty. War is dirty. So, okay, let's talk about something more positive. Let's bring it up a bit. Let's lighten it up. I'm sad over here now. In my closet.
I don't have anything like super uplifting, because it's funny that you did that one, because I have history of American wars.
More murdery stuff.
Murders and wars. I just thought it would be
history.
I just thought it would be kind of fascinating to read up and learn a little bit about each American war, every war that have had American service members in them. So I gathered up all the wars, and I have the very basics of what each one is, so I'm probably leaving out quite a bit of information. Some people, you should probably know these because, history class, and we all pay attention in history class.
I did. I love history.
I didn't.
I do. I'm such a sucker for a history lesson.
I like learning about it now and seeing it, like being able to see it in real life too, see these buildings and all that.
Yes.
So, but when I was in high school, I was not having it. I was not into it. And so there might be things that are not said, and I apologize. But
you mean you can't cover all of history, every single second of it? This is what we're here to do.
That's what we're trying to do, right? We could just, every week, we'll just add some more American history to our thing. Eventually, maybe episode number 1872, we'll get to the end. Maybe. Who knows?
To the end. Our end and the world's end. It's all going to end. Jen will give it to you in real time as the world is imploding.
And we're all moving to Mars.
And on itself. Oh, I can't wait. You can grow potatoes on Mars. According to Matt Damon, you can grow potatoes on Mars.
I believe him.
According to Matt Damon. I believe anything he says. That man is gorgeous.
I'll take it. All right. Yes, so this is the history of American wars. I'll give you the war dates, little tidbit on what it was, and the service members, how many casualties, and the cost in today's dollar. Because that blew my mind.
Oh, inflation. I like it.
All right, so
yeah.
First one, Revolutionary War. It happened 1775 to 1783.
I really like the pause between it happened and the day, because you're like, it happened. Moving.
It did. Did you know that?
Sorry.
It happened.
Okay.
The Revolutionary War is the British Navigation Act's closing of Western lands, restricting of colonial currency, Quartering Act, Stamp Act, and the Townshend Acts, enacted by British Parliament, contributed to the revolution of colonists. In 1783, by the Treaty of Paris, independence of the 13 colonies was recognized by Great Britain, and the war ended. So that's your very basic runaround of that war. How it started and how it ended. So there were 200,000 servicemen on the American side. Or maybe both. It didn't actually give me information, so I'm curious to know
like
if it was a total like servicemen all together, both sides, or if it was just our side. I tried to Wikipedia some of this because I know in some of the wars where we participated, I wanted to know just like the American service members, but I still couldn't get a full answer on that either, so...
There was no Wikipedia in 1700s.
Well, I know that. But Wikipedia has information for everything, and they failed me. So, we're just going with whatever is here. So, yeah, 200,000 servicemen. Of those, 4,435 died, and 6,188 were wounded. And the cost in today's money was $2.3 billion.
Oh, that's a lot of money for not that many people.
I know, right?
In comparison to what we have now, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. All right. The War of 1812, which happened in 1812 to 1815.
Oh.
U.S. declares war on Britain. There you go. And then the war ended with no gain on either side.
Great.
We were trying to take, I think it was said as like we were trying to take over some parts of Canada, and British said no, and then things happened, but then neither of us got anything from it.
Somebody from England came over and licked part of Canada, and then the U.S. was like, well, no, I called dibs on it. and then it was like, well, I already licked it. And they're like, well, I licked it first. And so it's like, let's just draw straws. Yeah. Okay.
And they both drew the short straw, and nothing was gained. But with that, there were 286,000 service members. Of those, 2,260 died, and 4,505 were wounded.
Okay.
And then the cost for that in today's money was $13,937,283.
How did the Revolutionary War cost more? There was less people.
I know, right? Yeah. I think it was just so there was more. I think it was more than the War of 1812. I think there was more that happened in the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
Than what happened in this. Because neither of them got anything from it.
What does war bring you? Nothing. Like the song says, what war? What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
Yep. So the next one, the Mexican-American War, which was 1846 to 1848. It's good. Only 2 years. Remember that. 2 years. Only 2 years there. So this one was, the Mexican-American War has, even though it was shorter, there was a lot more to it. There was a lot of different reasons why this started, but one of them was that Mexico did not recognize the annexation of Texas. So there was something to do with Texas was annexed from Mexico and it was ours, but they didn't recognize this, signing of it. So what happened was U.S. troops were attacked, though I'm pretty sure they kind of provoked this as well. As I was reading it, I was like, I don't think we're like blindsided by an attack from the Mexican army. But nonetheless, our Congress declared war on Mexico, and then the war ended by the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and we gained some of our states that were ruled by Mexico. So,
right.
Fun stuff. So there were 78,718 service members. Not a whole lot when you look at the other ones. Of those, 13,283 died, and then only 4,152 were wounded. So there was a lot more casualty in that one.
Is this the one that took place at the Alamo?
You know what? Maybe.
I think so. I'm not too familiar with that one, despite my heritage being Mexican. But I believe it was the one that took place at the Alamo, and there was a lot more Mexican troops than there was U.S. troops.
I think that you're right. There was a lot. I was trying to look up more info on it through Wikipedia and whatnot, but there was a lot, and I got overwhelmed, and I was like, you know what? This will work. This is good. So the cost for this war was $2,190,144,605.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot, yeah. That is a lot of money. And they damaged the Alamo, people. There's bullet holes in the Alamo, if you've ever been there. And there's no basement in the Alamo. It's a Pee Wee Herman reference. If you've seen the Pee Wee Herman movie, you'll get it. There's no basement in the Alamo.
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen that one. So long.
Why couldn't we just all have sat down with our fellow Mexicans and just have had some bean burritos? Everything would have been fine. Just that.
And come to some agreement.
Yes.
Take half of Texas and we'll take the other half, okay?
Be like, we brought you fucking Primo tequila from Central Mexico. Here you go. My wife, Lupe, is gonna make some tamales for you. Let's peace for everybody. It's a peace offering. Right? Tequila and tamales.
A peace offering.
Yeah.
Instead of costing $2 billion on a war.
That's my peace offering, Jen, is tequila and tamales. Well, actually, no, I don't do tequila.
I like that.
I don't do tequila. It's not conducive to my lifestyle. Unless you want to get headbutted.
No. I don't. No, we don't want that.
I'm angry. It's angry, Veronica.
Just makes you so mad.
Makes me
tequila.
So Mexican and so mad. It's not pretty.
Oh. Good times.
Good times.
Sometimes. You know what was not a good time? What's not a good time was the American Civil War.
No.
That happened between 1861 and 1865. So this was fought by 11 southern states known as the Confederacy and then the Union states. This is the deadliest war in American history. Still, I'm pretty sure.
To this day?
To this day.
Oh, wow.
The Union won, and the war ended the practice of slavery.
Yeah.
In the Union, there were 2,803,300 service members. Of those, 360,000 were dead, and 275,175 were wounded. The cost, just for the Union side, was $54,355,407,039 just on the Union side.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So the Confederate state, they had 1,064,200 service members. Of those, 260,000 died, and 137,000 were wounded. The cost for them, just for the Confederate, was $34,793,420 today.
Oh my God. You guys.
Isn't that insane?
War is expensive.
Holy cow.
Why can't we just leave stuff alone? Just let it be.
Right?
Yeah.
That was crazy. When I remember writing that one down, I was like, what? That's a lot of money. I didn't total it up, but that's a lot of money. Let's see. Next, the Spanish-American War. This was in 1898. Spain declared war on the U.S. because U.S. supported Cuban struggle for independence. It ended with the signing of Treaty of Paris, and U.S. gained the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam.
Is the Philippines an American territory?
No, they're not anymore.
Oh, but at that point they were.
I guess at this time, 1898.
Oh,
they
I did
had
not
at
know
least
that.
gained them.
I knew about Puerto Rico and Guam, but I didn't know the Philippines was part of that. Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah. There were 306,800 service members. Of those, 387 died and 1,662 were wounded. And then the cost for that was $12,543,555,470.
Oh my.
I mean, good Lord, no wonder we're in such debt. Holy
For
moly.
real.
It's crazy.
If anybody is stationed on Guam, there's a lot of that history, which is really, really cool to read up on. And it was like devastating what the Spanish did to that culture. But it did introduce a different type of culture, and it really it even changed their language, the Chamorro language, to it, like converted into, a lot of it is derived from Spanish words. So it's really interesting. If anybody's stationed out there, look into it.
Yeah, something to look at. Something to look into, for sure. So next is World War I. It was 1914 to 1918. It was fought between Allied powers, which was the Russian Empire, British Empire, France, the Empire of Japan, Italy, and the U.S. And Central powers, which was the Ottoman Empire, German Empire, Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and Kingdom of Bulgaria. The Allied powers won, and then there were new nations that were formed.
Oh, wow.
So that's just one we participated in. We didn't start that.
Yeah. We're like, we want, can we play? Hey guys, can we play? I want to be part of this. And they're like,
Can we help you?
know.
You need help?
You're
Some help?
American. We don't know. I don't think we like you. I feel like you can be trouble. They were right.
Yeah, they're true. It's
Yeah.
not a lie.
It's not.
There were 4,743,800 service members. Of those, 116,708 had died, and 204,002 were wounded. The cost for this war in our dollar today was $391,239,468,247.
You guys, Jen is going to run out of numbers here soon.
I know.
The closer
It's a lot. I had to
like
look at it before I say it because I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure, okay, 100,000 million billion. Okay, you got this. You got it. All right, next one is World War II, 1939 to 1945. It started with German invasion of Poland. It was fought between Axis powers, which was Germany, Italy, and Japan, and Allies, which was British Empire, USSR, and the USA. There was Warsaw Pact and NATO was created, and the Cold War began. I didn't write who won. Obviously, we know who won. We did. Germans were gone. Okay.
We defeated.
Nazis.
We have conquered.
Nazis were defeated.
We helped
There
conquer.
we go.
You know, the U.S. history makes us look like the Americans were the fucking heroes, but the British did a lot, okay? The Brits were sent in first to check all this out, and then here comes the Americans be like, hey, coast is clear, guys, let's go in for the kill. But we owe it to our British counterparts, you guys, okay?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We couldn't do it. We couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, our history, American history system in the schools is very messed up. We need to learn more. How about we teach them about all the bad things the Americans have done? How about that? So we can have a better understanding of why things work the way they do. So, just saying.
And how to not repeat history.
Yes. And save us some billions of dollars, because Jen's starting to sweat over naming all this, saying all these numbers.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So, with World War II, there were 16,353,700 service members. Of those, 407,316 died and 670,846 were wounded. The cost in today's dollar was... Oh. Well, hold on.
Brain is processing.
Okay.
Numbers.
I had to count my commas ahead. So the cost in today's dollar was 4,163,804,055.
How many commas is that?
Trillion. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a lot of commas, you guys.
It's a lot of commas. That's why I was like, wait a minute. That's more than I've said before. Holy cow. Wow. So, well. All right, next is the Korean War. Woohoo!
Woo! We're during the Korean War.
All right.
Okay.
It was in 1950 to 1953. North Korea invaded South Korea. Nations allied with the U.S. intervened on behalf of South Korea. And I didn't write who won, so
I believe
you should know.
South Korea.
History.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Thank you. There were 5,764,100 service members. 33,651 had died, and 103,284 were wounded. The cost for this war was, you think I would know this by now. Oh my goodness. $525,435,601,377.
Jen, are you learning place value in this?
I am. I'm counting.
Yeah.
I'm counting from right to left.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the comma that tells me it's in the thousands. This one's in the 100,000s.
Yep.
Yeah, place value, people.
That's exactly it.
I'm learning this with my son right now. Or my daughter,
Yeah.
My daughter's learning place value.
I am in second grade again.
Oh.
Figuring it all out. All right, so Vietnam War, 1959 to 1975. It was fought between communist forces of North Vietnam, Viet Cong, Khmer Rouge. Say that.
The what?
It's Khmer.
Khmer?
ER. Yeah.
Yes, that one. Got it.
Khmer. Uh-huh. Yep. Okay. People's Republic of China, USSR, North Korea, and Pathet Lao. And then the anti-communist forces of the U.S., South Vietnam, South Korea, Australia, Philippines, Thailand, New Zealand, Kingdom of Laos, and great, another one of those. Khmer Republic. We're just going to go with that. But North Vietnam won. There were 8,744,000 service members. 58,168 had died, and 303,635 were wounded. The cost was $690,293,700,000 $758,990. My goodness, seriously, no wonder we're in such debt if we're helping that.
Yes.
My gosh. Okay, two more, that's it. Thank goodness. The Gulf War, which was 1990 to 1991, fought between Iraq and coalition forces of 34 nations authorized by the UN after Iraqi invasion of Kuwait. There were 2,750,000 service members. 382 died and 467 were wounded. This was the only one I was able to find how many U.S. service members died, which was 219. So that's quite a bit from how many had died. The cost for this was $121,652,577,658. Wow. All right, so the last one that we all know about is the war in Afghanistan. It started in 2001, and it continues.
Still continues.
Beginning October 7th, 2001, Operation Enduring Freedom is U.S.-led effort to drive al-Qaeda and Taliban forces from power in Afghanistan. As of August 2017, 8,400... There has been only 8,400 U.S. troops? I feel like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right.
That seems very low. I don't know. I'll have to look at that one again. And then according to this article, there's 2,403 have died. Since fiscal year 2016, the cost for this war has been $783 billion.
You guys.
Yikes. And that's only up to 2016, so who knows what's going on.
Well, who knows now with the recent activities that we had with Iran. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. Iran back in last year in January. So, at the start of the dumpster fire that was 2020.
Yeah, right.
Or it continues to burn to this day. So
it's continuing. We're not out of 2020. It was a lie. We're still in the end of December.
So
2020.
What's happening is that we're being submerged into 2021, much like when you buy a fish at the store and they tell you keep it in the same water it came in and then transfer it to the bowl, but keep it in the same water in the bag until the water becomes the same temperature, and then you can let the fish go into its new home. We are the fish. We are the fish being in the bag and then submerging us into 2020. And so we're still in the bag. We have to let the water cool down before they open the bag and release us into what will be our new home 2021. Does that make sense? In my head, it makes perfect sense. And I think that's what we're going for. We are all goldfish swimming around this bowl in a bag still. We're waiting to be released from the bag into our home.
Do we want to be released, though? I'm a little nervous to be released.
Well, I think we'll be okay, depending on who our owner is.
Yeah.
Because are they gonna feed us good food? Like, are they gonna give us good food, or are they just gonna continue to give us generic shit? Yeah.
And wait for our bodies to float to the top.
Are they gonna clean out our tanks? Yeah. Are they gonna clean out our tanks, or just let us float in our own filth? Because that's what we're currently doing.
Toilet.
I'll take it. Flush me down the toilet. Send me to Mars. Matt Damon says you can grow potatoes on there. I believe him.
Well, apparently there's supposed to be somebody. I haven't seen anything on the news, though I do avoid the news a lot.
Same.
Lately. But somebody's supposed to be either landing on Mars or coming back. I can't remember. It was one of our friends had said it.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up.
So, yes.
Yeah.
I want to know if we can live there.
Where is the Space Force? Where is the
Yeah.
Space Force setting up a base on Mars? I want to be stationed there.
I'll go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Our next assignment, or my husband's assignment, will be Mars. We're all going. It's PCS season, you guys. Pack up your shit, move to Mars. You got to downsize quite a bit. I heard the craters aren't as big as here.
You just have to, you gotta make sure that all your HHG fits into the carrier rocket.
Yes.
You'll be on one rocket, then there'll be another one.
Yeah.
With all your stuff, and just pray that
it's gonna take
the robot flying your rocket does not get lost and your stuff is gone forever.
It's gonna take 3 years for your household goods to get there. It's gonna take about 2 years for you to get there, so you still gotta wait an entire year for your stuff, which is the same as here on Earth. Yeah. You can't take your batteries. You can't take your spices.
No. No liquids.
No liquids,
None
please.
of that.
Yeah.
Just make sure you buy brand new shiny space suits because you'll be in them a lot.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. That was great, Jen. That was great. I like that. I love the history of war, so we know what we've been dealing with here and how much money goes into it, and the casualties of war. It's ridiculous, and we wish we could stop it, but we have no power. We have no power. You and I have no power. All we do is provide you the information.
Yep. That's all we can do. Just give you the information. Here it is. That's it.
Here it is. Do with it what you may. Yeah. Well, that was great.
Yeah, wow. Veronica, your story was crazy.
I know.
Yet again. Blowing my mind.
I know. I'm sorry.
Blowing minds everywhere.
That's what I do. I blow minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it was a long one. I apologize if anybody got, bored in it. But I don't think you could have gotten bored. It was a very interesting story. I don't want to say good because obviously it was a good situation, but it was very interesting. I found it anyway, so. Cool.
Always. That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, before we say our goodbyes, I want to tell everybody how they can communicate with us, as I did at the beginning of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know how we're doing. You can email us at dependentsplaining@gmail.com or leave us a nice comment on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And don't forget to rate and subscribe. Please rate us. Please rate us. You don't have to leave a comment. You can just rate us 5 stars. Why would you leave anything else? If we're not good, don't listen to us. Simple as that. If you don't like us, don't listen to us.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. See how easy that was? But if you do enjoy this podcast, even if you just enjoyed this episode and none of the others, I don't know why you wouldn't, but whatever. Give us 5 stars. 5
Please.
stars.
It's free. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay anything to just give us a 5-star rating. That would just be, it's just so helpful for us in knowing that we're doing our job, basically, our free job.
We do this.
Lots of free.
Freedom. We do this for your entertainment, for our entertainment, and for your entertainment.
Yes. Mental health.
It's optional. It's optional to listen, but please give us 5-star ratings, and we love you guys. And we want you to stay safe and keep safe. And the world is crazy right now, but we together as one can prevail. So let's just keep that in mind. Power to the people. So yeah. Anyways, Jen, that's all I have for today. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Stay tuned for the trailer for Mike and Moscato, where you can also find them on the Milso Muster app as well. Subscribe to that monthly. And hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, because I think this comes out later in the week. So weekend. Yeah, that's it. So do what you can. Do your part. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Keep listening, because wherever you go, there you are.
Goodbye.
Bye. giving me a little blinking red.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. Let's try one more time. And if not, we'll just keep it as is because it'll be funny anyways.
Okay. But are we more chill or are we like in your face cheerleader? Because I was going cheerleader and I can back off.
No, we can definitely do that. We can definitely be cheerleader type. I don't know. Because it's supposed to give them a sense of what the rest of the podcast is going to sound like.
Okay, yeah, then we probably don't want to do cheerleaders.
3, 2, 1. Hey there, podcasters. Welcome to Mike and Moscato. We're your hosts, Jasmine
and Kristen. We're so glad you're here. We're 2 military wives on 2 very different paths who decided that our talks over wine needed to be shared with everyone.
From military wife life to everything that surrounds it without holding back anything.
Oh, I didn't save
Kristen.
it. Sorry, I needed to save because I gave you more lines.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It just popped up. I'm like, oh wait, another line.
That's because I didn't hit save.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh, tech. Gotta love it.
You were just like, keep going. And I'm like, that's it. There's no more.
I'm like, all right. You're doing so good. Next line. Okay. Anyway, now
you're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great. Military wife life to everything that surrounds it without holding back anything. Whether you're a military spouse or not, grab your wine because it's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
We hope you'll come along for the laughs.
See you on Moscato
Mondays.